In a few hours, lawyers representing Fulton County, Georgia, will be in federal court arguing for the return of hundreds of boxes of election ballots seized during a surprise raid earlier this year. The FBI and Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, you'll remember, traveled to Fulton County in January to collect the documents as part, they say, of an investigation into the 2020 election. Joining us now, MS Now legal affairs reporter Fallon Gallagher. She is live outside the federal courthouse in Atlanta. Fallon, good morning. What should we expect today?
Yeah, good morning, Willie. This is the first major legal test since the federal government decided to start reinvestigating the 2020 election, of course, with that search and seizure of the ballots in late January here in Fulton County. So the judge is weighing what Fulton County has filed as a return of property motion. They are asking for all of those election materials to be returned to their custody, including any copies. And they're also asking for a detailed list of everything that the federal government took to ensure that they are actually getting back all of those materials if the judge does choose to grant that motion. Now, the federal government has said that this is an ongoing investigation and that they are entitled to those materials because they obtained a search warrant that was signed by a magistrate judge. But that search warrant has really been quite rife with controversy. Of course, a lot of it is a number of now debunked conspiracy theories about what happened with the election here in Fulton County in 2020. And the Fulton County, the petitioners here, are alleging that that search warrant is actually based on what they're calling possible cause instead of probable cause, and therefore it's unconstitutional. So the judge is going to weigh whether or not the witnesses who are cited in the search warrant are in fact credible. Of course, we learned that this whole investigation was spurred by Kurt Olson, who was one of the president's closest allies and election deniers during 2020. And we're also going to find out whether or not they omitted material facts, because if they omitted material facts, then it could reach that standard that the judge would need to find to actually order this return of property and sort of nullify this search warrant. And he's also going to weigh both parties' need for these election materials and whose need is actually greater here. Willie?
So, Fallon, let me ask you, there's a lot of attention here, of course, on this case, but also what it could set for precedents. There's a belief that this administration is using Fulton County sort of as a test run. Maybe it's Maricopa County outside, in Phoenix next. Other jurisdictions that were important in 2020 and could be again both in 2026 and 2028. So what are some things that you get a sense that people will be looking for today that could establish whether it's precedents or templates going forward?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Fulton County was really the epicenter of the president's election fraud claims. Of course, you can't deny the fact that the president was charged here for interfering with the election. And so this is really the center of this whole thing. But today's hearing is the first legal matter and the first real legal hearing for these election investigations. Of course, nothing has really started in Maricopa County yet, but we've been watching that very closely. And so I think the Trump administration is also going to be watching what happens here very closely to see what they can do in these other places where they've litigated the election in the past, and what the judge rules here will have broad implications. Like you said, it will set a national precedent. One thing about this judge is he is a Trump appointee. He was appointed by Trump during his first administration, and he did side with the Trump administration on one smallish issue here so far. The Fulton County had actually subpoenaed the testimony of the FBI agent who wrote that affidavit, and we did expect him to actually testify here during this hearing today. But yesterday morning, the judge actually quashed that testimony. So he sided with the administration's request there, but he didn't side with them on canceling this hearing altogether. They had also filed a motion to vacate this hearing and meeting cancel it. And that all came after the judge initially wanted to resolve this matter with mediation instead of having this hearing. But the fact that the judge wants to have this, what we call an evidentiary hearing today, and hear all of the government's evidence for why they initiated this search warrant and why they're pursuing this investigation is pretty notable. And so where the judge rules here will clearly set a national precedent.
And questions perhaps about why the Director of National Intelligence joined that raid. Very curious as well. MS Now legal affairs reporter Fallon Gallagher live for us outside the federal courthouse in Atlanta. Fallon, thank you.